I am the founder of the Women's Entrepreneur Network, which I grew to 76,000 members organically. And part of that is because of understanding how algorithms work. I'm a software engineer. I have about 25 years of, almost 30 years of coding experience at this point. And one of my particular fascinations in college was with computer algorithms. My undergraduate degrees are in computer science and Spanish literature. Yes, I am fluent in Spanish as well, and Portuguese, just for the fun and the crazy of it. I went back to school in 2011 and got my MBA from Duke with a concentration in entrepreneurship and innovation. And my manager at EMC told me at the time that I was never going to stay in the corporation. And actually, I had done the whole MBA thing so that I could get my next set of promotions at work. So the fact that my manager kept repeating that I was going to believe kind of became its own like self-fulfilling prophecy. I left in 2013 after I graduated, and I started a home care agency while I was growing my Facebook group and doing business consulting on the side because I have a huge passion for small businesses. And I started growing my Facebook group in 2015. Shortly after I started the group, my oldest daughter sustained a traumatic brain injury from a fall from a horse, which we think was during her first psychotic break for schizophrenia. So for me, entrepreneurship is not just about making money, but it's also about having the flexibility to, to handle whatever life throws at me and my family. And I try to be pretty open about dealing with the mental health system and all of the kind of crazy stuff that is. But part of my thing was when my daughter had her traumatic brain injury and her fall from the horse, my life essentially imploded at that point. I wound up in the hospital with suspected heart attack symptoms. And I realized that I was going to have to sell my home care agency at a loss, shut that down, and just focus on digital marketing. And I ended up having to go through bankruptcy and going through Chapter 13 and repaying everything and dealing with all the taxes and all of the fun stuff. So when I left corporate, I swore I would never write another line of code again. And it's actually become kind of a funny thing, because those of you that know me know I actually spend a lot of time working my way through little bits and pieces and snippets of code and a lot of strategy and a lot of algorithms nowadays. I love working with funnels. I love helping small business. If you tell me you've been through heck and back, yeah, I understand it. I've been there. I've driven for Uber at night while growing my business during the day. I'm a big believer in not leaving your day job, until you have perfected some of this stuff. And I think that one of the reasons of that is you're going to see pretty quickly while we're doing this tonight, part of my reasoning for that, advice from my side. Don't leave your day job until your entrepreneurial journey is producing an income, because none of this funnel stuff is instantaneous. As much as all of the big funnel sellers out there are going to tell you that this stuff is instantaneous and that you're going to be able to produce income immediately, the answer is it depends. One of the biggest lessons I took away from Duke and getting my MBA was that it depends. I have seen people like Suzanne Evans over the years. I've seen a lot of people grow their businesses very, very fast. Those are people who have a Rolodex to start with. They have a strong network. If you don't start with a strong network, you have to build that network. You have to build those numbers from the ground up. And brute forcing it fast is not necessarily the best way to go, because a lot of times it can take a while for people to build that know, like, and trust factor with your business, particularly if you're selling services or software or things that are higher end. It can take a while to build an audience, whether you're building a YouTube channel or whatever you're doing. The only exception, I think, for people is product sales. If you're doing lower end product sales, your network still 1000% matters, but it's not going to necessarily take your business out in a way that and it's not going to take as long if you have lower end product sales, like I'm talking like clothing sales or something like that. Those things are much faster to kind of build a network and, you know, build sales off of. But if you are doing more expensive services, that kind of a thing, your network is everything in this. And you have to get into alignment with who you are, your audience, everything. And it does take time to get there. Absolutely, Mike. And this is an important thing that I think a lot of people brush over really quickly from the top, is that if you are getting into a new industry, your audience from your previous life may not translate, or it may. It just depends on your audience. Now, one of the things I want to start with is audience testing. The first place that you are likely to see engagement on social media is not a Facebook group. It's not your business page. Sometimes it's your Instagram page. Sometimes it's another page. Usually it's going to be a personal profile that gets your engagement the fastest and the soonest and the easiest, right? So I'm always a big believer in testing the waters, no matter what kind of funnel, no matter what you're selling, with your warm audience. I'm also a big believer in just testing that audience periodically and seeing if you even have an audience. If you're starting with 153 people and nobody ever comments on your posts, it's going to be really, really hard for you to get any kind of sales of any kind if you just post on Facebook and you post something silly and you don't even get a single comment on it, right? That tells me that your audience is dead. So the notion that I could go on there and sell toothpaste or coaching packages or even give a freebie away to test with an audience that doesn't even respond to funny things tells me that my audience is not what it needs to be to start with, right? So you may have to build a network and build an audience, build friends, go into Facebook groups, connect with people, go find people that have like-minded scenarios, right? Go find the people that are your tribe. You have to go find them and connect to them. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, doesn't matter. You've got to build a connection and test and see if you've got that connection with them. If you want to fast track it, by all means, you can do it with ads. Okay. And here's the thing. I love your ears, Dr. Jill. Ads are going to take a hot minute to get your audience dialed in and get your offers dialed in and get people responding to your offers. Recognize that it could take 3 to 6 months to get people starting to dial in and respond to offers online through paid ads. I think you might be right. And that's okay, but you've got to budget for the process of doing ads over a period of time to test different offers and see what people do, right? If you say we're going to go the ads route because you have no following and you have no connection and you have no network. you're going to need to budget at least a couple $1,000s if you're managing the ads budget yourself to see if people are even going to opt into your freebies. Right? I'm giving you something for free. I'm going to check and see how much it costs me for a click. I'm going to check and see if my audience is correct. I'm going to see how many people actually opt in on this page. So there's kind of multiple places that thing can fail, right? It's much easier if you're starting with a warm audience than if you're starting with a completely cold audience. Warm is always easier than cold, which is why a lot of times you will see me doing things like, hey, who's willing to take this quiz for me, right? Here's the quiz, and test it and make sure that it's working. This is the MILF quiz that I was posting the other day. Y'all are welcome to take it if it so amuses you to do it. It's my badass MILF quiz that one of my clients is rolling out. And you'll get a score at the end. Hopefully, I have managed to get most of the bugs out of the thing at this point. So there's a debugging process. There's a making sure that you've got the right audience. You're making sure you've got the right message. You're making sure that you've got the right people going onto your landing page to do your thing. It could be a quiz. It could be a funnel or a free opt-in. It could be a free course. It could be something that you're giving away. Generally, with really cold traffic or traffic that doesn't know you yet, going straight even for a sale, even for a $25 sale, can be really hard. A lot of times you have to give and give and give before you start getting consistently from people, right? Because they're not even going to get onto a call with you, and they're probably not going to buy that $997 offer if they haven't started building trust with you over a period of time. Yeah, you know you're the badass, but not sure about the MILF part. Yep. I think it stands for a little bit different than you think it does. Right? So think about, and thank you, Jojo. Sorry, my dog is sitting under my desk farting, and it's awful. Just awful. Having dogs is a beautiful thing, but sometimes it's not. So test your idea first with low dollar amounts, if at all possible, right? I have this free course. Who wants it? Who wants in? I have this freebie that I want to give you. I have this guide I want to hand out. I can tell you, I have honestly put out stuff that I've never gotten a response on. And then sometimes I'll put something out and people like snap it up like hot cakes. And the next thing I know, I've got 100 people signed up. So you could go from 1 minute to the next. I think this is going to work. Maybe this is going to work. And then the next thing you try works beautifully. You know, when the first thing didn't, you have to keep trying things. Part of how I grew my group was that I kept trying things, lots and lots and lots of things, and I didn't give up. It's that analogy of the toddler. Toddler's not going to tell you that they can't walk. Toddler doesn't believe they can't walk, right? A toddler is pretty sure that they're going to be able to walk. So every single time that toddler falls down, they get back up and they keep trying over and over and over again. That is the same thing with a funnel. So one of the things I recommend doing is saying, hey, if you have an audience and you have connections and you have a friend circle on Facebook or LinkedIn, you post and you say, hey, I have this thing that I'm giving away. Right? I have this thing that I'm giving away. Who wants it? And you can do it as a Facebook post. This is the first step in doing a test. Oh, we have a friend. We have a puppy friend. So we do a thing that says, I have this freebie that I want to give away. Who wants it? Now, here's a trick for y'all. even if you haven't built the freebie yet, sometimes you do the who wants it, right? And then if you know what the simple thing is that you wanted to give away, or the course or the workshop, if you get 5 or 10 people who respond, me, then you know that you actually go into Canva and you create the free guide, or you go into Eventbrite and you create the free workshop. And ditto for building an online course, right? You may just have an outline of an online course that you want to do, but for Pete's sake, don't go in there and develop all of the slideshows and pre-record it and pay for a professional videographer like I did to develop the course that you may never have any demand for.
Even if it may take you months and months to get that course done, then once you know people are interested?
That's when you create a wait list.
Okay.
You create a wait list and you start doing sneak peek previews of that course. Yeah. And part of the reason I recommend, at least as a first step for courses, is that they're rough, they're raw, they're pretty unedited. They're usually not pre-recorded with an online course if you can help it. Now, you're doing a little bit different with YouTube. So you would try it out by seeing who's interested and who is willing to sign up for the VIP wait list. And if you can get people signing up for a VIP wait list, then you know that there's enough interest for this course to actually go through with developing it. Test first, then develop where at all possible. Now, it's not always going to be possible, but like, you know, Seema says, hey, I want to do this book series. I create a couple of graphics, I put together a couple of promos, I send out a couple of emails, and I see if I get somebody to bite off on it, right? If nobody's biting off on it, I don't go down developing 30 books in the series and that whole idea and all the back end that goes with that, because clearly nobody's biting on whatever that concept was. Either the copy was off, the targeting was off, the message was off, the timing was off, something wasn't right, but I didn't spend a lot of money on it. This is probably one of the biggest, most expensive mistakes that people make with funnels, is that they develop everything up front. And there's a lot of tech, and there's a lot of very expensive tech and a lot of very expensive time and copywriting that goes into this, but you've never tested the concept. So just know that if you can have a warm audience that you start with, and you can test and see that your audience is warm, because you can ask them what their favorite flavor of ice cream is, then you know that you're going to start getting those responses you need when you need them.
So the wait list is the warm audience.
The wait list is your warm audience, yeah. If you need more time to develop something, then you put people on a wait list. Yep. And this is not trying to be spammy or scammy. This is really trying to ascertain how much demand there is in a market for a particular opt-in or a particular freebie or a particular workshop, right? We manually invite everybody you're connected to, and we send out emails to anybody you know, and we text them, and we maybe send them voice messages, right? If people start signing up for the workshop or the demo or the thing, then you know you've got something that they're potentially interested in. Start with a minimally viable product first, right? And sometimes you're just starting with the nugget of the idea, and you tested and you got that minimally viable product first, and then you go from there. So I'll pick on Karen for a second because I can. So Karen sells amazing software for attorneys. It's practice management software. So they can track their hours, they can track their cases, they can track all of the things that relate to managing a law practice. And it's all in the cloud, and it's really, really cool software. But building that nurture sequence to get people to build that trust with the business is always tricky, right? So the way that you start seeing how you can get people interested is you maybe try different workshops that are demos, right? At different times of the year, you do different like freebie opt-ins to see if you can get more attorneys on your email list, right? Like, where are all the attorneys' pain points? Okay, so we develop this opt-in and we see if somebody goes for this. I didn't do anything with that one. Okay, is it the messaging? Is it the targeting? Okay, and then maybe we go and we interview some of the clients and we say, okay, so why are you not interested in this? Oh, well, because that doesn't hit XYZ problem, right? Or it does hit XYZ problem, but maybe, we just didn't ask at the right time. So you have to kind of take that hat off and go, okay, so if somebody isn't responding, why are they not responding? And sometimes it's good to have, a half a dozen attorneys in your pocket that you can say, hey, what do you think of this thing? Does this fit a need for you? Are you interested in this? And then you have your warm market that's really cool. Right? That freebie opt-in is really cool. I want that. Right? So you've built your little network of, friends and supporters out, and they're going, oh my gosh, that thing is super cool. I want it. Or they stay on Windows XP until the computer on their old system totally dies and their whole practice goes down and they go kerblooey, and then they have to hire you, right?
I've had plenty of them.
I'm sure you have.
And I'm the first person they ring.
Yeah. And then you pray that their computers all die a little faster, right? But, it's really that staying top of mind then, right? So you've got a whole list of all these attorneys that could potentially buy your software. So now the game is, how do you stay top of mind? So when that computer dies, they call you in a blind panic of, oh my God, can you fix it for me? Which is never where you really want to be, but you have to understand that most people react finely once they're in enough pain. Hopefully we can get them before they're not in that much pain. Yeah, you have to buy a new computer. Yeah, absolutely. The plumber on the weekend costs more than the plumber on a weekday. Absolutely, right? So
I like to live by the theory, your failure to plan does not constitute my emergency.
Yeah, failure to plan on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. Yes. Right. Absolutely. And it's very hard to tell a client that, when they're standing there and they want to hand you money and they have, shot themselves in the foot. But what you're doing is you're building that audience of people through your opt-ins, through your messaging, through your everything. A funnel is nothing more than the end-to-end sales process. So building your audience is huge, right? Whether you're building your audience organically or with paid ads or both, I'm a believer in actually using both. Always be building your audience, because then you can test every single one of the opt-ins that you ever wanted to try, or every single one of the courses or whatever ideas. If you don't have anybody to test on, it's really hard to test. It's really hard to get people to opt in if you don't have an audience. And a lot of people are like, well, my personal profile is exactly my personal profile. I'll be honest, you're going to have to make a decision here. You're either doing business or you're not. If your personal profile is only for your friends and family, start up another account and run that separate account for your not friends and family. And I know that there's like discussions about terms and conditions and whatnot. I decided back in 2011, when I started blogging online and becoming a lot more visible, that my social media was essentially going to become whitewashed a bit. I don't post every single thing up there that I might otherwise. And I just decided that it was becoming semi-public. People who complained about your business posts don't pay your bills. Exactly, right? And you have to make some decisions whether you're going to keep your profile and just post a little bit about your business on it, or whether you're going to make two separate profiles. Yeah, and you can put the personal stuff visible to friends and the business stuff visible to everyone. You get to decide how you want to present it, but you need to be posting regularly, building your audience regularly, connecting to people regularly. Now, how do you get those people there to test with? And then we'll go forward with the testing pieces, because I know you guys want to talk about the testing pieces. Where do these people come from? Gosh, I hope y'all have all connected to one another on Facebook and LinkedIn. There's 14 people in the room currently. I hope that y'all are connecting to one another, and we'll post your contact information. Every networking meeting that you attend, grab the contact list and connect to those people. That's stage one. Stage two is you try to schedule a one-to-one with those people. At least a 15-minute, like, hey, get to know you call. Because you may decide this person is not somebody you want to be connected to, or this person could be my new bestest buddy business friend, right? Connect to people. But please don't connect to people on a platform you have no intention of ever following up on. So if you don't ever post on LinkedIn and you don't ever use your LinkedIn profile, please, for the love of bacon or the love of chocolate or chocolate covered bacon, don't connect to everybody on LinkedIn if you're never posting on LinkedIn and you're never doing anything on LinkedIn. That's kind of pointless, right? Or putting them on an email list that you never email, which I hope is not the case. So make sure that you're connecting to people. Stage two, right? You're going to enough networking meetings, you're going to enough meetings, you're going to enough speaking opportunities that you have people to connect to. Go to Facebook groups, go to business-oriented Facebook groups, post something non-promotional, non-spammy. Maybe post something that's interesting. See who connects with you. Connect with those people. I have about a half a dozen Facebook groups that I go into. I have a few LinkedIn groups that I go into. And I try to connect with as many people as I can. Right now, I'm at the maximum number of Facebook friends I can have, give or take about 30. So I'm happy to, connect and make most things on my profile public on my creator profile on Facebook. But I try to connect with all those people on LinkedIn as well. And I do post on LinkedIn and I do respond to things on LinkedIn and I try to do things, right? So it's always that connection process with people. Connect, 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 build your network. If a tree falls in the forest and there's no one to hear you, did it actually make a sound? This is the whole point of social media. And here's the thing about doing ads before you have an audience, before you have a network, before you have connections, it's really hard to test things inexpensively. Does it matter if it makes a sound if nobody heard it, right? Yeah, you're right. I mean, so keep finding people and connecting. The more people you connect to, the better. The deeper your Rolodex is, the better. And who knows, sometime it may save your family's life or your life. Sometimes it's not just about business. My BNI members a few years ago, and the women in Networking Women of the Triangle, no joke, literally saved my family's life. When my daughter was at the worst of her homicidal ideations and the worst of the psychosis, we're still going through a lot of that, right? My BNI members, business people, said, hey, did you talk to this person? Hey, did you ask for that resource? Did you do this? Hey, did you post over there? Did you do these things, right? I posted in Networking Women of the Triangle, and literally there was a grad student who was at Wake Forest University who was doing an internship at UNC Hospital at the CID, the Center for Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. And she literally gave me this recipe that I followed. No joke. So you talk about the power of connection, right? I connected to this person. And she said, oh, by the way, you can drive your daughter directly to the state psychiatric hospital. Nobody knows you can actually do that, but you can actually do that. And it's against policy, but in certain extreme cases like yours, you can actually go in the back door. Nobody told me this. It took a random stranger that I met on Facebook to tell me this. And then you need to ask this list of questions. So my kid is sitting in the state psychiatric hospital, and she goes, you need to ask for a neuropsych evaluation, and then you need to ask for this, and then you need to ask for that, and then you need to ask for that. And the social workers at the hospital were like, we've got to see this. We've never seen this done before. We didn't even know this was possible. All from a random stranger that I met on Facebook. Okay. Never mind, all the business and all of the other connections that I've made and all the other friendships that I've made. It literally saved my family's life. So just know that the more people you connect to, provided they're your people, the better. Build those relationships, because that's where business comes. That's where friendships come. That's where all of this stuff matters. So you can test that funnel idea. I posted a while back and I said, hey, who wants to know how I generate dozens of leads in a single post? Y'all remember that, right? I was testing it to see how your friend's daughter was saved from a bone marrow. Yeah, exactly, right? I was testing to see if a particular workshop idea I had for a particular type of technique of marketing would work. And I generated dozens of leads off of a single Facebook post because I posed the question correctly, right? I have this juicy thing, who wants it? Right? I'll send you the recording, Mike, for the workshop that we did. So you're testing a juicy thing with this ripe audience. If your audience is responsive, you're going to know it. If your audience is not responsive, you're also going to know it. So step one is build a responsive audience before you go spending a lot of money on ads. And before you leave your day job, build a responsive audience. Funnel building 101. A network, a Rolodex, an email list, a contact list, phone numbers that you can call. People, you need lots of them. And if you post something on Facebook that is absurdly silly, like Mike's post this morning about the pink flamingos on the T-Rex, my family has a long running history with flamingos, and nobody responds, then you know that you need to build a responsive audience. You need to be posting things that people find interesting and engaging. And if they're not responding to what you're posting, try posting something different. This is testing the Facebook algorithm. Now I'm going to give you guys a hint. None of the platforms like it if you try to take people off platform. None of the platforms like it if you're trying to take people off platform. LinkedIn does not like you trying to take people off of LinkedIn. Facebook does not like you trying to take people off of Facebook. And it doesn't matter if you put the link in the first comment. Don't ever do that. Don't put external links in the post. Okay. Funnel testing 101. Don't put a link to it. Funnel testing 101 is, I have a free guide for blah, blah, blah. Who wants it? I have a free who's what's it. I'm doing a workshop on blah, blah, blah. Want me to show you how to bill 10% more per year in your law practice? Come to the workshop. And then you get a response and you respond back to them and you say, I will DM you. So they know that you're going to DM them. And then you send them a message along the lines of, you just responded to my question about such and such and so and so. Are you still interested? Because a lot of times people say I'm interested and they don't have any idea what they just said yes to. Remember, we're dealing with people on social media, and this doesn't matter if it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and they're doing this. And their little brains are like unto being on marijuana and being perpetually high. So they have no idea what they just agreed to or clicked on. Even if Instagram and Facebook are the same company, they're getting a little bit better about allowing you to refer to one another now, but I still wouldn't send a link to Instagram from Facebook necessarily. They're getting better with playing nice, but they don't always. So DM them and say, would you like the thing that I offered in this post? Don't just DM them the link. Here's why. They're not going to see it. And you're going to end up in Facebook jail real fast, or LinkedIn jail real fast. So you don't DM them the link until they say, yes, I want the thing. And that's how you generate dozens of leads in a single post. I have this really hot and juicy thing. Who wants it? This is really sexy and really titillating, and it's going to blow your mind. Anybody want to become a best-selling author, an international best-selling author? Anybody want to do blah, blah, blah? Right? And if you get a response, then you make sure that they do it. Yeah, get it to them, confirm, and make sure that they still want it. So the process is you DM them without the link in it
I have a
first.
question about that. So this would be, say you're posting on your page.
Mhm.
If you are in a group, like for example, I am an admin for a group of women physicians who have had cancer. I periodically do free group coaching, as a gift to them. I do coaching workshops and sessions. So I typically announce it and put the sign up link there in
Right.
group, but
Mhm.
it's not, you know, and the link is to my landing page, so it's technically a different platform. That's
Right.
not what you're talking about. You're talking about if I'm putting something on my Facebook page, I should be.
It works the same in groups. So if you post in a group because and I wouldn't do this for the community service type thing. I would do this for something where you're actually going into a program ultimately, or you're trying to get people into a workshop that is like the precursor to a program.
Yeah.
Then you are going to post in the group and say, I have this amazing free workshop for physicians going through cancer treatment. Are you interested in it? Because no matter if you're in a group or on your business page or where you are, if it is an event or a link that takes them off platform, it will get throttled.
Even in my own group.
Even in your own group. Yeah. Especially in your own group. Yeah. And that's kind of one of the sucky things. And the other piece of that here that I'm going to share with you is that graphics, any graphic that is not a plain text post that is using Facebook's backgrounds on Facebook has lower reach. Typically.
Say that again, Haley?
Any post that is not just using a plain text post on one of Facebook's backgrounds typically has a lower reach.
What does that mean?
Unless it's a video that you're doing. Mhm.
What does that mean?
So if you create a pretty graphic and post it with a description above it, even if there's no link in it, it gets less reach than you know how I do those blue posts, Karen, that have like a piece of text in it that's blah, blah, blah. Those get higher reach than something I post that has a picture on it. If I post a graphic that I created in Canva or something, those almost always have lower reach. Not 100% of the time, but most of the time. The only exception to that is if you create very short form video, like 10 seconds or less or 5 seconds or less, where it's something really kind of funny looking or, you know, that's almost TikTok-ish.
So what about all the people who think that, like, I'm in all these groups where people, like, they post their question and they say, you know, pick of my kid for Facebook tax. Like, there's a widespread belief that makes no sense to me, but there is a widespread belief that if you post text with a photo, that it somehow gets more visibility than if you just post plain text. Is that true?
Plain text with like a colored background gets the best reach. Anything from Canva, anything you create graphic wise, almost always has a lower reach. If you post a silly picture, you might get decent reach, maybe. But almost anything that has like text on the graphic, unless it's a particular, depending on the infographic or something, every once in a while you get lucky. But the plain text on like a blue or a green or whatever background has the best reach.
But those are very limited in the length. You know, you go over a very small.
Oh yeah, no, I get it.
It's gone.
Why do you think I speak in like 36 characters half the time?
Well, the thing is, in the groups I'm in, people have, you know, they're giving you, they're asking for advice. And so they're giving context and what they're doing. So
that's a little bit different. So they may be posting a picture of themselves for interest or something like that, but plain text is almost always going to get better results. Now, if you're in a group where you're posting for help or advice or whatever, that's a little bit different, right? Because there's almost always people who want to reach out and help them if you're in a help group. That's different from a straight selling. I'm trying to get my engagement up. I'm trying to get my reach up so that you'll take my freebie so that you'll sign up for my workshop. It's a different context.
right.
So if I'm like in one of the bariatric support groups, right, because I had bariatric surgery, the way that people interact in those groups is a little bit different the reach of those posts is a little bit different as well. So you may have 20,000 people in the group, but only, 5 people respond or whatever. Yeah, provocative questions on the colored backgrounds or with your avatar. Yeah, being provocative is always good. What about events in Facebook? Those can have decent reach. The problem with events in Facebook is there's a whole methodology to promoting them, Catherine. So you can share the event from that to your page, but you also want to get all your friends inviting people to it. You want to have 4 or 5 people inviting to that event in order to get more reach, or you want to boost the event with paid ads. For your business, it's almost all pictures. Yeah. I mean, every business is going to be a little bit different. Patricia, just know that generalities are just that, and the algorithm could change tomorrow, right? Pictures are not necessarily a bad thing. Pictures with a really nice description are not a bad thing. Pictures that are blatantly promotional tend to get less reach. Something that's like a meme or something that's funny tends to get more reach, but not always. It just needs to hit people in a feeling somewhere. It needs to hit them in a nerve somehow, some way. But the trick
15
here,
roses helped.
do what?
15 roses helped this week.
They did, right?
Massive hit.
What's that?
My husband gave me 15 roses for our 15th wedding anniversary, and Facebook loved it.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Personal selfies. I posted a picture of a lizard that my husband took earlier today, and that got a lot of reach too. So, genuine photos are real. I took a selfie earlier of one of our speakers during the summit of her holding the camera up. And so I was holding the camera up at the same angle she was demonstrating, taking a selfie of myself with her. That one got a bit of reach. So doing things that are a little bit silly, a little bit funny, a little bit different, a little bit interesting tends to get more reach. Yeah. It's challenging to get more reach. But here's the thing. If you post something on Facebook and you get no reaction, wait and try it again. Try something different. Your 10 gajillion cat pictures. Yeah, I post cat pictures, turtle pictures, dog pictures. The fish don't get much interest for some reason, but I'll post all kinds of animal pictures. My children are not very cooperative about me posting pictures of them for some reason now, that they're a bit older. They used to like it more when they were younger. It depends on the kid. Okay, interesting question. Catherine, you get creeps liking and trying to friend you. What are you doing wrong? We all do. And the guys in the group, I am sure, also have women, that have very sexy photos that are, looking very hot, trying to send them friend requests and chat them up as well. I might engage in a little bit of bear baiting on my own, to, yeah, there's just scams. You block them and delete the comments. I do too. And the more public you are, the more engagement you have on your posts, the more likely you are to have those. I will say that one of the things that I have learned, it's hackers. I have learned to not take any very publicly visible content and just share it to my page. If I like something that's gotten like a lot of reach, I may download it and then post it to my page. Unfortunately, there are a lot of hackers and bots that are monitoring for posts that have high reach, and they tend to get more of the crap happening on them. I get like 3 or 4 when I do that. So I've just started copying them. How do the hackers get into private groups? They just do.
That's why they're hackers. They do.
They do. It's a long discussion. We could talk about Facebook groups some other time. But the answer is there's a lot of fake profiles out there. I spend a lot of time cleaning shit up in my group. It is horrifying. And I look for telltale answers on questions when somebody joins my group, which is why they have to answer all 3 questions. And if the answers don't look just right, then I don't allow them in. And even then, sometimes, and we refer to it as going fishing. I caught a fishy. That's code for I just banned somebody from the group for doing that.
I would love to share about when you have someone like this, just check it out, profile, see everything, information which you could see there. You can see, for example, that hacker creates a profile and you have common friends, let's 50 friends. So I'm always open to strictly try to check it profile and see, you know, everything. If you see that sometimes account is created 15 minutes ago, for example, or and you can sometimes you just must go and see all kind of details. Is it when post, maybe it was 3 years ago, everything, you know, there are people who have only one picture, only one image, and this account is not to no place
It's
where
not really active.
nothing, you know. So just think about it.
Right.
And
Well, I think
even if they answer a question, I don't let them to go. I have one friend in Australia, and she's a podcast. She's in Perth, and I'm super. You know, they hacker just stole her profile and totally clean your profile. You know, it was just imagine what, how many years it's old, her profile, and how many energy and time she put in that. So, and she's also, she isn't a Facebook, I'm in her group. She is admin, or it's like, and she has super protection and paid higher and higher, and she now is creating new ones. So just be careful when you see who is. Just don't put everyone. Anyway, if someone answering a question, but just check, triple check it, your data. This is from my experience.
Yeah, so I reject about 60 to 65% of people trying to get into my group. I make sure that they answer all the questions, that it's not a new account. I also profile people a bit now, in a way I used to not do before. I look at what type of business, etc. And sometimes one of the things that's happening, it's not just bot accounts that are created, but people who maybe have an older account and the account has been hacked. And then somebody uses that account to join groups and try to scam that way. I've seen every which permutation and combination I think it's possible to see at this point, but that's a whole other rabbit hole other than funnels. We can talk Facebook groups until the cows come home. But when we talk about using organic lead gen, part of the reason I focus on organic lead generation first is because it's cheaper to test and correct for your mistakes than if you are, you know, doing more expensive ads. But if you have no time, then ads are a huge way to do it, right? If you have a proven product and service, ads are the next step. Once you have proven your product and service, you may be tweaking the exact funnel, but you want to move to that next step. Entering competition, entering almost any kind of competition can be dangerous, Karen. You know, we could talk about cybersecurity until the cows come home. Never, ever click on a link, ever. Go to the original website and go that way. Two-factor authentication on everything and never click links. And nobody will ever ask you for help with two-factor authentication on their account. No, they're breaking into your account. And use a password manager. Yeah, I use LastPass. I know that they got owned, but I worked at EMC when RSA got hacked and they were in my lab at the time. And, you know, those are foreign government like level of attacks kind of a thing. Anyway, so test everything as you go in little increments. I'm not a big believer when we do ads of going big on ads immediately. If a funnel is going to convert, it's generally going to convert pretty quickly. So a funnel being a software funnel. So if I'm talking about a website, okay, if I'm driving traffic to a website, okay, so we've tested the concept. We know that people want my free Who's What's It or my free course, right? Now I'm going to drive ads to it. That's my next step. Okay, I'm going to pay attention to my audience. I'm going to pay attention to my numbers. I'm going to pay attention to my click-through rates. The first thing we want to make sure of is, do we have the right audience that we're generating for our ads? Are we on the right social media platform? Are we on the right advertising platform? LinkedIn is the most expensive platform for ads. It could cost you $500 to $800 per client on LinkedIn, but it might be the right platform for you if that's profitable. You know, so it just depends. As everything in business, it just depends. So go to that. Okay, so now I have stage one. People want my free quilting guide, right? So maybe the next step is I drive ads to my free quilting guide to see if they'll buy into the e-course for $1.99, right? Or maybe I send people to the $1.99 course and see how they go from there. Low cost options, one at a time, baby steps. If I start running ads and nobody clicks on it, my clicks are way low. It's one of two problems. Your audience is wrong, or the message is wrong, right? Audience, which is your target, or the message. One of the two things is wrong. And it's always audience or message. That's why I'm saying try it with the free thing, because you know if you got the free thing where everybody and your cousin wants that free thing, you go to that next step, right? You know that people already want that free thing and you drive traffic to it. If you're not getting clicks and everybody over here wants it, probably didn't get the audience quite right. Make sense? It's that deductive, like, okay, so I eliminated this problem because I know that this works. So I'm not doing multivariable calculus. If you can eliminate the variables in your process, right? You're not trying to solve for multiple variables in your equations, right? Anybody remember algebra from high school? Right? It was much easier to solve for one variable than two than three, right? Right? The same applies to your ads and your funnels. One problem at a time. So if you have a thing that people want organically, and you're not getting opt-ins, and your audience might be a little bit off. Now, it could be a graphic or something like that, but usually it's the audience. So make sure that your audience is what you think it is. Here's a tip for y'all. You can take your email list, your list of your contacts, and upload it into something like ActiveCampaign or whatever, Ontraport, pick your poison, and create audiences on Facebook that you can target for your ads. So then you know you have a good audience. Here's the cool thing. Facebook, Meta wants to help you with their AI. They're going to match your audience for what you uploaded. That's a hack and a shortcut. Did that make sense to you? So you take a list, you have a list, and you create a lookalike audience. Are y'all with me? Give me a nod or a shake of the head. Okay. I have a list of people and they're in my email list. Okay. Facebook/Meta allows you to connect your email list to your ad account. Cool. Step one, you can show ads to everybody on your email list. Step two, Meta allows you to create a lookalike audience that looks like your email list. Well, Haley, how do I know if it looks like my email list? That's what the AI is doing. The reason that we use your email list, if you have one, is because you already spent a lot of time, money, effort, energy building that email list. And you can now drive ads to it. What if you have been banned from doing Facebook ads? Then you use AdRoll, or you use other platforms for ads, and you be very, very careful with your verbiage. And you appeal to being banned. It is not free to do those ads, Catherine. This is definitely paid ads territory. Right? And you hire somebody to do your ads for you, or you learn how to do it yourself. Facebook has some really cool, Meta has some really cool ads classes. If you're semi-technical, you can actually, and you have the time to babysit it, you can actually do some ads for yourself. Is there any documentation of why you get banned from Facebook? They never tell you why you got banned, but they have this whole list of terms and conditions. So if it's ever financial, curse words, there's like a whole list kind of things. Anything that's political or could be political, anything that is racist, homophobic, anything like that. Anything that's political, anything that's financial could get you into trouble. How to get unbanned. That's when you appeal it. And you work with somebody who knows what they're doing to get you unbanned. I have worked with several people lately who have been shadow banned. So shadow banned is somewhere between I've been banned and Facebook is throttling all of my content. Usually what we're doing is we're going through every post back to the beginning of time on their profile and every ad campaign back to the beginning of time on their campaign, on their profile, and making sure that there's nothing on there getting them in trouble. How do you know that you're banned? They won't let you run ads at all, okay? They will tell you that you're banned. You won't necessarily know that you've been shadow banned except for the fact that your ads will just disappear or your posts will just go nowhere. Dr. Jill.
I've never done any ads, but I have a question. I have two coaching niches, and so I have a couple of websites. And one of the websites, my blog is posted there, and I periodically, I'll put a link to it in Facebook, which I guess you're saying you shouldn't do. But the issue is that the other one is hosted on Groove. And Groove is kind of one of the big, it's one of the big platforms. But Facebook will not allow me to post any link from Groove. It just says it breaks their cybersecurity stuff. And I think it's got to be related to me somehow, because I'm sure that all of the other, thousands and thousands and thousands of people on Groove can put links on Facebook. And the only thing that I can think of is that.
Do you ever use a link shortener?
Not for that. That typically it's like it's Groove, release it for, Groove and the name of the, the name of the website and the hyphenated, the name of the blog. And I don't know whether when I first started that second website and that second Facebook page and group, I didn't want the page to be empty, so I posted links to a bunch of prior blog articles, and that's the only thing that I can think of. But I don't know, because it didn't happen until like a month or 6 weeks later. All of a sudden, I got these things saying, I stopped being able to post from Groove. I can do anything else, but not Groove. And it said, and I have no way of knowing what other people can see, because when I look at it.
I'd have to look at it to see what's going on. And
Have you
take
ever
a
heard of
swing at
anything
it.
like that with Groove, or what is the link shortening?
I have not, and I know Seema uses Groove, but I have not
Weird,
seen
right?
other people have problems specifically with Groove. But sometimes if there's a link shortener, or depending on the language on your posts or something else like that, they can be really twitchy about things like weight loss.
Well, this is not my weight loss thing.
Okay.
This is my physician stress and overwhelm group. So it's not weight loss, and it's not selective. It's just anything that if I ever try, like if I say I post a new blog article and I try, and I haven't tried in a while, it just won't let me do it.
Okay. I would have to
You
take
can't
a look
call
at
to
it.
anybody at Facebook, right?
you
There's
can't.
nobody to talk to.
Not unless you become verified and paid. And actually, I'm having trouble with getting verified, even though I've had the paperwork in, because
I don't
my
know what
face
that
has
means.
changed from my documentation enough.
That's for ads though, right? I haven't ever tried to do
No,
it.
if you want the little blue check mark. I've actually had the affidavit of identity filled
the
out multiple
checkbook,
times.
Is that for Facebook or for Instagram?
Facebook.
I use Instagram. Okay.
Yeah. It can be twitchy about anything related to anything medical too. So
It's not
I
medical.
have to really look at it carefully, because sometimes there's some little. I had one client that was a nutritionist. It was a functional nutritionist, and we had all kinds of trouble. We've had all kinds of trouble with a mortgage broker. Facebook and Meta in general are just really twitchy about what they allow on their business pages and on their ads platforms. One of the things is, I have a client right now. I have several clients, and I mean, they all like operate in different areas, right? Never rely on a single platform for all of your ads and all of your posts, all of your audience.
Yeah,
This is a good example of it.
Yeah, I don't think it's the content, because, for example, some of them, the same content is on my other blog too. So like, for example, the blog article is on how you can save time by, menu planning and meal prepping, right?
Yeah.
That's really not offensive to anybody. I mean, that can't possibly be offensive. It's a productivity post. And yet,
it can be
content on Groove is not okay, and on
Medium is, right? I mean, yes, there are some absurdities. I would have to take a look at it and go through it with a fine-tooth comb and really, really figure it out. But trust me when I say I recognize how utterly absurd the whole thing can be. Seema's got her hand up though. What's up?
Interesting conversations here. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Ellie. I had hired someone to do it's like 2 years ago, and I finally used them this last March. They were patient enough to wait for me. But I got a lot of leads. I got like 140 registration for my author masterclass, but then nobody showed up. Would that be a sign that it's not the right audience?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, the other thing too is like right now we've got just at 100 people signed up for the summit, and there's only like 20 to 25 people there at a time. Despite the fact that we've had that many people sign up, and most of them paid. A lot of people are paying literally to get the recording. So just know that people can be really, really weird about signing up for stuff and then never show up. And it seems to only be getting worse, to be honest. It's really a fascinating phenomenon. Like if they think you're going to record it, they like, I mean, I've seen it like almost every time. I'm 20 to 30% of people maybe show up. I mean, it'd be unusual to me to see 140 people not show up. Maybe they didn't get the right link, or maybe they didn't get the info. I'd be surprised if there wasn't like maybe a tech issue somewhere. But you know, even with 140 people showed up, I'd expect maybe 20.
Yeah, I was expecting at least that. Their reasoning was that I didn't use a text message thingy. They're based out of Australia. And I'm like, even with my warm markers, I have at least 10 people show up.
Yeah, no, that'd be kind of weird.
And I never used the text message thing before.
I don't usually use the text message thing. I will sometimes do it during my summit, but the reality is that I have to pay to deliver text messages via any system. And it's a per message kind of a thing. So I tend to not do as much texting. And there's a lot of really strict restrictions around text messaging in general. So I generally do email. And the only thing I can figure out is maybe if all of your emails went to the Bitbucket or something like that, if you're having really bad email deliverability, and then I'd be going back to Groove and going, what the heck? And you know, did nobody get or open? I'd go and see what the open rates were on those emails for that confirmation process, because one of the problems is very much that you can have real deliverability issues with bulk email systems. I'm actually getting ready to use a totally separate domain for any of my bulk email systems, because people, just the deliverability and stuff, and then I'm going to get a dedicated IP address.
Yeah, it was 19% open. The click rate. I don't know if how many read it, but yeah, so I was thinking, you know, I might as well just do.
And it wasn't the middle of the night or anything weird.
No, it didn't seem like it. Yeah.
I'd have to sit down with you and look at it and try to maybe take some swings at it. So here's the thing. A lot of this stuff is best guesses, and then test it, and then take your best guesses and try it again. So the reality is we never know 100% for certain. I can sit here and tell you all day long what my credentials are, what my education is, you know, that I'm the best-selling author, whatever. But here's the thing. Facebook, Meta, LinkedIn, Google, everything changes their algorithm every single day. And they don't tell you that they've changed their algorithms usually.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to then sit there and guess what the heck that bot was thinking, right? Like, so if you get an account that gets banned entirely, you know, you may have to go through a very stringent appeals process and stand on your head and click your heels, and you may forevermore not be able to advertise on that platform, in which case, you know, you're maybe doing Pinterest and ad roll or Google PPC or display ads, or doing some other form of advertising and having like other means of advertising, because Facebook in particular has gotten really, really, really twitchy after coming under the crosshairs from a lot of regulators, and, you know, Zuckerberg having to sit in front of a bunch of senators and answer as to why they're doing certain things. And I mean, the reality is that bots are a problem. The reality is that there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, wrong stuff out there. And, you know, you're dealing with a platform that deals with millions and millions and millions of users. And, you know, the AI is not really AI most of the time. It's a software engineer who's writing a program to try to guess something. And one of the things y'all probably don't know about software engineering, and I'll try to explain this in a way that's understandable. I know Wendy knows this. 20 or 30 years ago, all of software engineering was done in what we called a waterfall model. You would have big releases and you would test the crap out of things before they got released to the public. About 12 or 13 years ago, Agile came onto the scene the way you liked it. Yeah. And the problem with Agile is this: they do these little sprints. And the way that Facebook in particular seems to work, and I believe I've seen the same behavior on Pinterest, I've seen it on Instagram, I've seen it on LinkedIn, and I've seen it on almost every single social media platform, is that users are on nodes. So you have a group of users because everybody's on a database, and they sort of unit test the code when they check it in, and they have multiple lines of code going on. And Wendy, you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And what they do is they get to a certain level of testing and they roll it out onto users. So whereas before, some of these quality control issues would not have been tolerated. If I had done some of this stuff at IBM, I would have been fired. Just flat out would have been fired. And now they're rolling out stuff to end users before it's ever been unit tested or functional tested even. What we would have called functional test 15 years ago isn't being done now. They're just rolling it out onto users and seeing how badly it breaks and how badly people squawk before they roll it back. And if people squawk badly and it's badly enough broken, they'll roll the fixes back. If it's not broken that badly, they'll just keep going. And they've got all their cutesy wootsy little debuggers going on now. And it's all graphical debuggers. And a lot of these programmers don't have the skill to see the entire ecosystem that they're impacting. The developers in the room know what I'm talking about. And they'll make a change and they don't understand how, you know, this change over here impacts everything. So that impacts the usability and the end users doing the testing, and it just breaks everything in sight. And sometimes it means that, yeah, QuickBooks Online is atrocious for that, right? It means that things like Jana's account got banned forever for no apparent reason. And there's no customer service to getting it fixed because that's not their profit model. The way they make money is off of ads, but they don't care if they accidentally, you know, take out a few unwilling victims here and there, because overall they're trying to get it right, but they don't care if there's some accidental casualties along the way, kind of like the military has a, you know, an acceptable rate of death. Unfortunately, that's how their user experience goes. And they don't really care as much about the end user experience overall as it is. Yeah, because it's cheaper. It's a lot cheaper. It's orders of magnitude cheaper. Especially in a world where we're not generating enough computer science, enough programmers in the system. Oh my gosh.
It was
Yeah,
just
no,
an
people are
example of,
just
like, it finds a word and it doesn't understand the context. It was, I mean,
right,
I can't even imagine how horrible it was.
right. Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, I mean, right now, somebody I know got 30 days of trouble for posting a funny Easter picture of a bunch of kids. It was the Happy Keister picture, which is, the babies with the little Easter butts.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Well, they ended up in 30 days of Facebook jail because of this. And there is no warning a lot of time, Catherine. Although now a lot of times if Facebook thinks you're going to post something that's going to get you a warning, they will warn you and ask you if you still want to post it. I have had that happen. When I inadvertently said something about like a hoe, like a garden hoe. So just know it's a process of elimination and guessing, right?
I had a photo in about, in an article about asking for help. Okay. And it had an image that I got from Canva of somebody sort of like hanging off of, hanging by their hands off, rock climbing or something. And Facebook removed it. They
Yeah.
said it was violent. And the
Mhm.
article was about asking for how to ask for help.
It's all about young programmers and trying to be politically correct and this and that and everything else. And
this is part of having to debug your funnel, right? Is you're having to guess what the algorithm is doing underneath while you're trying to drive ads to your stuff.
So Haley, the podcast images that we post, that's not, because it has some text and images, so that's not have like a plain image for something like that?
Honestly, it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
I would just do the images like you've been doing them, because you want somebody to have the podcast image so that they can promote it on their website and on their social media and link it all back and have it be visually cohesive. I mean, it's just, yeah.
So are the ads good for like specific things versus, like, should you do ads for a certain funnel or a certain like free gifts or?
So really you're going to drive ads to a low cost offer most of the time. A low or a no cost offer, a workshop, a freebie, a thing. The higher end sales come from, an actual conversation with somebody and an actual like relationship with people, or you're going to be in DMs or something with them. I know that Joy Buffalini, for instance, sells, and I've seen her do it and I've had conversations with her. She sells a lot in DMs, and she doesn't actually even end up doing sales calls with people. She'll send them a PDF with everything. And she doesn't have to do a lot there, but she does a free workshop that gets them into that conversation. And then during that conversation, during the free workshop or during the free challenge she has, and I do recommend signing up for her challenges, if nothing else, and to see how she does it, she will give you like a Google Doc and have you fill out a Google Doc. Are you interested in having us contact you for the next stage or whatever kind of a thing, and kind of ascertain where you are in your business to see, is this even a viable offer or not? Yeah, you don't even get to whine about people that don't pick up stuff. Yeah, so you have to be really, really careful with how you phrase things on social media, and how it all goes. Yeah, I do too. I'm really bad about F-bombs too, and about needing a bus for everybody. There was a joke a few months ago about that. But yeah, Facebook is a little weird at times. Social media is a bit weird at times, but at least like for your case, Seema, with the podcasts, you can have the graphics and you can share them on all of the social media multiple times. And it's a visual recognition and a link and all that. It just isn't going to have the same reach as something else might. but the visual recognition over time. So one of the things I do want to talk about is the consistency, the power of consistency. So one of the things that people would ask me about a lot previously is I reuse posts not infrequently for a lot of my day of the week stuff in my group and certain things. And part of that is so that I'm not having to constantly like redevelop everything from scratch every single week, every single day, every single hour, because Tony would probably want to shoot me. So we reuse a lot of stuff and we use post schedulers for it. I'll be honest, your posts that you use a post scheduler and all of that for get less reach than ones that you don't. Here's the thing. Consistency wins every single day of the week. If you can reuse, repost, redo things, it's not perfect. Perfect is better than done. If I can be consistent about posting on my Facebook page, on my whatever, on my LinkedIn, I may get less reach on individual posts. But here's the thing, if I get a reach of, let's say 8 people on a post times 7 posts a week, I got a reach of 56 versus I posted one time and I got a reach of 30 on it. I'll take that any single day of the week because people are then going to come back and look at my profile and see. Now, there are some exceptions like LinkedIn. You don't want to post on top of other posts and stuff. And there's some strategies there. Yes. And I would argue that any day of the week, consistency wins. It's the tortoise and the hare. Tony.
When you were talking before about doing just plain text, can we schedule just plain text also? I know I was wondering about that. I'm like, if I just did a plain background that looked like Facebook and just put text on it, because we schedule.
You can create posts that look just like that. That's why I had that tips, the 100 tips like that, the way that I had them.
Just plain,
Jane, boring. Some of those got good reach too.
Are you saying that you can't schedule something that's only text and no?
You can't schedule
for the
something that's only
purpose.
text, but it doesn't have the background on it.
like
So
for the
if you're
purpose
using
of
like
higher reach.
if you're using Social Pilot, right, which is the scheduler that
I
our
don't know
team
what that
uses.
is. I just use the Facebook scheduler. So like,
Right. If
for
you're using the
example-
Facebook scheduler, you can usually do it with a text with the colored backgrounds. But we're scheduling across about 80 accounts at once.
No, I don't do that. But if I'm scheduling, most of the posts when I'm scheduling, for example, like the Friday, like if I'm doing an event and I've got like daily or, every other day posts promoting my event, I typically will schedule those in advance in my various the appropriate groups. But for example, those usually have an image, and when I do my Fuck This Shit Friday posts in the cancer group, those usually I find or make a funny photo to go with it. So they usually have it, and I post I typically will schedule 6 weeks out so I don't have to think about it.
Right.
I mean, I could see having a post that actually didn't have any image or color, that was literally just words, and on Facebook.
You can schedule like that.
Okay.
But
So
it doesn't
what
get
is
much
it
reach
that
for just plain text with no pictures, no color, no nothing, doesn't tend to get much reach.
Well, I thought you said that those are the ones that do get reach.
You want a background behind them. So like the colored background, like the blue background or the poop background or the laughing backgrounds tend to get more.
Okay.
Plain text with one of Facebook's backgrounds is what gets the most on Facebook.
So not just plain text, but one of their backgrounds.
On one of their backgrounds, yeah, on Facebook. Now, Instagram, you can't do that. LinkedIn, you cannot do that, right? Twitter, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
You can't do a colored background in that. It doesn't have that option for posting.
So on those, it's all like, well, I don't.
It's all either graphics or just totally plain text. And Instagram, you have to have a graphic or a picture.
Okay. I haven't really used that because my demographic in my audience is a little bit older than, certainly older than TikTok, and probably a little bit older on average than Instagram. Do you, well, this is a good chance to ask you this, and probably other people would like to know this. What is the typical age demographic of the people in the WEN Facebook group?
35 to 60.
Okay, that's about what I thought. So that's definitely those are my peeps, but they're, obviously they're in Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's it's a thing, and just know that demographics move and change over time too. Algorithms change over time. Karen said that they just got their first TikTok lead for legal software. So TikTok is maturing and changing.
I'm sort of trying to not do all of, try not to do all of the platforms.
Don't.
Right now I'm on Facebook. I do think that as I get more into working with entrepreneurs and business people, it's time to do LinkedIn.
Mhm.
So that's my next one to add after Facebook. I don't feel I need to do much with Instagram or TikTok at this point. Okay, that for me, probably the return on my time investment is not worth it.
Right.
And I don't have LinkedIn yet. But I think I want to go to the thing that
Jen Darling is doing.
yeah, unfortunately, that gives me 3 all-day long events on the 19th of May. So
Yeah.
we're going to have to be with recordings, and it gives me.
I have 2 people that do LinkedIn training. Jen Darling is one. There's another one that's local to me, Deborah Matthias. One of the things that I do recommend for social media for y'all, for business, you're always going to have a primary social media account that you use the most. Please, please, please have a secondary account. Whatever that is. A friend of yours, a retired builder, nearly 70, has just been to a mental facility for mania caused by going to sleep listening to TikTok. Yeah, you don't want to listen to these things trying to go to sleep. It's very scary. Always have a second account. I have a friend, a dear friend that's local to me, who
Second account or a second platform?
a second platform. And I'm going to explain this real quick for y'all so you understand why I make this particular recommendation. Never put all of your eggs in one basket in business, in the sense of one social media or one advertising platform. This friend of mine and client built a thriving Facebook group and almost completely ignored all of her other social media platforms. And she was making a good amount of money from her Facebook group. She unfortunately had her PC hacked, clicked on a link, got her Facebook account taken down, and she didn't follow the instructions from one of my friends who was trying to help her work through the process of having to recover her account. So her IP address got banned, and her MAC address on her PC got banned permanently on Facebook. She can never get on Facebook again. Period. Not with that MAC address. Oh, and facial recognition software too, for her face. She has had to rebuild her entire business on LinkedIn. So not with that device. Yeah, not with that face either. So just make sure that you are building on two platforms, if at all possible. And I'm not saying this to scare you, but I've seen it happen more than once. I've seen other people lose their accounts. Katarina Rando, who spoke today, lost her Facebook account a few months ago and it got hacked. And fortunately, she didn't have that MAC address restriction or any of that stuff or the facial recognition stuff. She had to start over again after having over 4,000 friends. It has been a process. Fortunately, she has an email address, an email list. This is why we have email lists, y'all. This is why you drive people to a freebie sign up of some sort to collect people's email addresses. If you have a Facebook group, you ask people for email addresses. That's part of your funnel. There's a million other things. When somebody joins your group, you ask for their email address. Here's the thing, you have to collect the email address at the moment in which you get it. You can't just hit accept to the group and hope you go back later and find it. It is gone forever if you don't collect it when you got it. Yeah, you learned that one the hard way. So did I.
I have a question about that. That is what I have heard. And yet, if you have a Facebook group where people have to answer questions
Yep.
to get in, you can, like, if I click on the people in my group as the admin, I can see the answers to their questions. So after the fact,
For a period of time.
I see. Okay. And then they go away.
And then
Okay.
you have to manually go back and get them. There is software. I use Group Convert. I have an affiliate link if you'd like it. There's other ones. I DM people. I auto DM people when they join the group. Tiff also DMs people in when, and I grab their email address and it drops them on my list. So there is technology for that. Yeah, so that is a powerful form of a funnel. If you're going to build an email list, that can be a whole separate workshop for a whole other day, okay? But when we talk about basic funnels, are y'all with me on the debugging steps there where you're like, okay, check your audience, check your graphic. The third thing you do is you check your landing page. Always install a Facebook pixel. If you're doing ads, you want a pixel or you want a cookie or a pixel and a cookie on your website. Yeah, there's a lot of tools there for that. Yeah. You want to drive people to a landing page somewhere. Now, here's one of the things that you guys want to keep track of, because we've got about 20 minutes. And I know we keep going all over the place. If you are a brick and mortar service provider, or a brick and mortar store or a restaurant, you don't want to drive ads directly to the front page of your website. You want to have a page on your website that you're driving people to. I'm going to show you that real quick. And here's why I do it this way. The reason I make this particular decision is I want somebody to not just click onto the page of a website. So this is one of my clients. She does the most amazing permanent makeup. She does my eyebrows. She does Tony's eyebrows. We know a lot of people eyebrows and permanent makeup she does. So I would never drive somebody straight to the front page of her website. Her website is done on Square for what it's worth. Talk about a pain in the ass of a platform. But it has a lot of really cool features in it. So when I do ads for her, does anybody want to guess where I drive ads? I create these.
Link page.
Huh?
A page where they can give you the contact and schedule.
Right. So here we go to permanent makeup, permanent makeup, permanent makeup, permanent makeup, permanent makeup. Right? Book the appointment. If we're doing ads for her. Okay, if we're doing it for a builder or a contractor, we're going to create an ad for a particular service, and we're going to drive an ad to a particular service. Okay. She has decided to change up her images and her backgrounds and some of her layouts here.
Okay.
It's okay, Tony. Okay, so every single ad for this client goes to her particular pages. It's okay.
I don't even know
This
what that
client,
is.
huh?
I don't even know what that is.
Don't worry about it. Microneedling, don't worry about it. So this client, I don't drive ads to the front page of her site. It's a cute site. Yeah, I built the site. But I don't drive ads directly to it. If I'm going to drive ads, I'm going to drive ads directly to the MILF quiz, and it's going to be directly related to the ad is going to yield the quiz. Make sense? It's going to be, you get the ad, you get exactly what you got in the ad. And it's going to be simple. And I don't want people have to do videos and all kinds of things. It looked like an ultrasound wad. Microneedling is like a cosmetic procedure. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you gotta love clients that do stuff like that. They don't tell you they're gonna change it, but you've got ads live. Oh yeah. So think about, where you're driving your ads. You're not ever driving them to the front page of your website. I can't tell you how many ad people I see local to me or all over the place that just drive ads to the front page of a client's website. So you're telling me I have this e-commerce site and I'm trying to sell this particular skirt, and I'm going to send you to the front page of the website. You just lost them, right? If you see an Amazon ad and you click on the Who's What's It on the ad, you're going to get the Who's What's It. Right? So if I click on an ad for microneedling or an ad for permanent makeup, I'm going to get a page for permanent makeup. Okay. So your ad always goes exactly where you told them you were taking them. Don't ever leave it to their imagination. If I wanted somebody to go to the MILF Bootcamp page, I would send them exactly to the MILF Bootcamp page. I'm not going to send them to the front page of the website to hope they find it. Should you get guy liner? Yeah, maybe. Fill in the beard, make it extra fluffy. I don't know. Right?
So that what you just had was for people who are brick and mortar. For somebody like me as a coach, I typically don't send them even to my website. I send them to the landing page where they sign up for whatever the thing is.
Okay.
Yes,
So your website is hopefully going to link to that free thing somehow.
they can get it, well, they can get it from, if they happen to be on the website, of course, they can go, get on my mailing list, and they can get on my, get my freebies. But most of the time, more people are going to go to my landing page rather than just my website.
Right. And you're going to share
not
that
all,
landing page
yeah.
sign up. Right.
So that's where the link would be, is to the landing page.
Right. No, totally. Your link for the ad is always going to go to the landing page.
Okay.
Sometimes I build those landing pages directly into the website. If it's an e-commerce site, or if it is a service provider that is a brick and mortar, I almost always build the pages directly into the site for search engine optimization purposes.
Right. And also because they're going to link to other, if they look at this blouse, they're also going to look at 50 other ones. Whereas in my case, I have like, you know, I don't want to have 50 calls to action.
No, you don't. You only ever want to have one call to action on the website, really, which is book an appointment, right? But this is one of those things where you can have things on your website that are hidden. So your landing pages are basically hidden. And then your thank you page drives them back into your website. One of the reasons for a brick and mortar client that is very, very different from a coach. Okay. For a coach, I don't care how amazing of a coach you are, your SEO is never going to matter. Your search engine optimization, nobody's going onto Google to look for you. Ever. Chances are people don't go to Google to look for you. They come to you by word of mouth. They come to you by reputation. They come in through your funnel.
And every single day I get 1 or 2 or 3 cold emails from people who say, oh, I was on your website and I want to help you with your search engine optimization.
And
Just believe
run like
I
hell.
block them before I delete them.
Right. So yeah, search engine optimization is not a thing for coaches. I'm just going to say that, in consultants for the most part. There could be an exception. We would have to discuss that. And you're going to get people who offer to redo your website and help me redo my websites too. So here's the thing. You need to know your business and your industry to decide if it's really worth doing the landing page as part of the website or not, or cost or whatever. There's a lot of reasons that would play into this. I have coaches that are brand new coaches. Jen's Life Coaching is a brand new coach. I'm not building her sales pages on expensive software. That's $200 a month, y'all. I can build that sucker just fine in WordPress and back it up to MailChimp, and she's only spending $20 a month. Or free, right? So we're not spending a fortune on our marketing. So pay attention to your costs and your overhead and the reasons for doing things. Sometimes we're tempted to fall for the expensive software, and it's not the best and highest use of our money because it's not really going to yield the results we need and the timelines we need it. If our business is primarily organic, you know, we don't really need crazy click funnels and heat mapping and all that kind of stuff. Even if we're doing ads, we may need some heat mapping and stuff, but we may not be doing enough volume in ads to make it worth making certain investments. So we have to weigh the cost of the software into this. Is spending an extra $400 a month on software going to yield that much cheaper? Yeah, all-in-one software. That's fine, yeah. And sometimes people do that, right?
I love it. I didn't get the Zapier Gene, and it's just so easy. It does everything. And, you know, I loved it when it was going to be, I had the first year at half price. I loved it when it's going to be $2,000 a year. I managed to get it for $2,000 for life. And I'm like, okay.
There you go, right? And so think about your software costs. Weigh that into your cost per lead, your cost per conversion. Start looking at, does this make sense in my business? One of the things that I most want you to come out of here and think of, okay, does this make sense for me? Does it make sense in this context? Does it make sense in this environment? Does it make sense in this industry? Is the answer I'm coming up with making sense? Is this practical? Is it reasonable? Is it what it needs to be, right? We want to make sure that our answers all make sense. Whenever we're doing funnels, if something is not making sense, you know what we do is we just start figuring out, why in the world does this sucker not make sense? Questions. Everything needs to make sense in business. And if it doesn't, well, we need to figure out why it's not making sense and adding up. Everybody looks exhausted. Sorry about that, y'all.
It's too much testing.
It's a lot of testing.
It's like, I feel like I'm constantly doing a 1,000-piece puzzle.
Yeah. No, it is like a 1,000-piece puzzle, Seema. That's the thing, right? Does this piece fit in here? Yes, no, okay. Does this piece fit, right? Is this an edge piece or is it a corner piece or is it a middle piece?
Then you find out it belongs entirely to another puzzle.
Yeah. Exactly. Or it's one of those dang puzzles that's printed on both sides and then die cut from both directions.
Mhm.
That's what it feels like some days. So I do have a small offer for y'all if you're interested. I'm offering a marketing assessment. It's $97. It comes with a questionnaire. We go through your stuff in about 30 minutes and figure it out. 2 pieces that look so dang similar. And that is business, Catherine. 2 pieces that look exactly the same on the surface, but they are not, right? Two office buildings, 2 commercial office buildings that are not. They're on different sides of the street, and oh my gosh, how that impacts the value of the business, right? Being on a different corner because of traffic flows.
Mhm.
It's all situational.
It seems like it's very similar to real estate in many ways now that I've taken this in the last couple of days. There's a lot of similarities, actually.
It is. It's just, I won't say just because I think that kind of minimizes it. It is problem solving, and it is that constantly like chipping away at the problem and then figuring out what's going on. Or like last night I was dealing with a funnel that didn't want to behave. And I've had 2 quiz funnels this week that have been giving me a lot of grief. And literally when it's not working, then it's like opening problem tickets up, looking at the HTML, figuring out what's going out, and then just pulling things off one at a time and just peeling the onion. You know, this is supposed to work. Why is this thing not working? Oh, I just keep peeling the onion like an ogre. That was a Shrek reference. You know, and I feel like that, you know, it's just constantly peeling the onion.
And positioning, like it's all like positioning, knowing
All
like the need,
your
like
network, right?
it's just crazy. All this time I've seen it's so different, like from a real estate perspective. It's just like an aha moment for me today. As tired as I am today, it was very aha when I'm able to relate it. It's all relational, right? When I'm able to say, oh, this is similar to that. I can understand it a little bit. Like it's not so complicated. It's like the first time I read the 52-page lease with all the legalities. Well, that's what it is. It doesn't feel so daunting. So like, oh, how am I going to, it doesn't feel that anymore. So my tiredness is not from this session, but it really was eye-awakening. I appreciate it and all of the comments. Thank you.
I'm hoping that this like sheds a light on some of the things that you see like in the marketing space, that it's like, oh, well, that's why I have to pay somebody to do ads, because they're trying to keep my account from being banned, and they're trying to test like 5,000 different graphics, and then they're doing this, and then they're doing that, and then they're standing on their heels. And a lot of it is just sitting there staring at it going, well, why the heck is it doing that? You know, and social media is a lot of why the heck is that? Dialing in the audience, testing the audience, seeing if you've got the right audience, right? And is your audience receptive to you at all? I've never been the popular girl in the room. ever. In high school, I was definitely the wallflower. I was not the popular girl. It's taken a while to build my network and build my friends. And if you guys think that like I'm like a natural like networker, I'll tell you I'm not. When I first got into business in 2013, and actually even before that, when I was at Duke, I would like literally hug the walls of the room I was in. And I would talk to one or two people, but I'm like claustrophobic around large numbers of people. And it has taken a lot of like learning how to do it and learning how to network with people and just making a point of, okay, I'm going to connect to 3 people in this room. And social media is kind of the same thing. I'm going to connect with 3 people today. I'm going to have great conversations with 3 people today, or 5 people, or whatever. And it's that chipping away at it, not because it's an inherent skill. And I will say, if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. You received a credit to do an ad on Instagram from Instagram and Facebook. Have you? Should you? Yeah, you could. It depends on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to attract. Begin with the end in mind. I'm a big believer in Stephen Covey. Know what you're trying to attract. Are you trying to attract sponsors? Are you trying to attract models? What are you trying to attract? And then dialing it in. Yep.
Haley, I've been thinking of growing my Facebook group through ads. Is that a good recommendation?
So what I would do is do a freebie, something. Here's the 10,000 foot view of how to grow a Facebook group. Y'all got a pen? We're recording this so you can have the recording. You have a freebie, you have a thing, you test it, you post it out to all your friends and you say, hey, I've got this thing, who wants it? People sign up for it. You send them the link. On the thank you page, you say, oh, by the way, come join my Facebook group. That accomplishes 2 things. 1, you've got their email. 2, they've joined your Facebook group. Because if you ever lose access to Facebook, you've still got your email list. The other thing you can do is you can actually drive traffic across platforms. So you can grow your Facebook group by mentioning it on Twitter. You can mention your group in several different places on Twitter. But what I would probably do is put a freebie in my header banner and in my website, where I drive people into my freebie and I go from there. I would do the same thing from Pinterest, and I would probably also drive Instagram ads from somebody from Instagram onto my thing, and then drive them over to Facebook, because a lot of Instagram users also use Facebook groups. So everything you own points back to that Facebook group. You cannot directly do an ad on Facebook that drives them to come join your group, but you can link your group to your page. That would be kind of what I would start with, is everything that you do, every thank you page, every event you run, everything happens in the Facebook group. It's all group centric. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then you grab their email address a second time when they join your Facebook group, so that you doubly make sure that you've got that Facebook group.
Haley, are you just asking them straight out there for the email when they're responding, or are you going to?
Yeah, well, so if I'm doing a freebie offer, I send them to a landing page that asks them for their email to download the freebie offer.
Okay.
If I have they're joining the Facebook group, I'm flat out asking for the email and requiring it in order to join the group. And I don't let them join the group without the email now. I would rather have fewer people in a group that are more committed and more interested and that actually answer the blinking questions than have thousands of people in the group that don't answer the blinking questions. If you should have made a mistake like I did, and when I started growing my group, there was no ability to collect email addresses. The way that you get email addresses is you post freebies in the group and workshops in the group, and then they sign up for the freebies and the emails. They give you their email and then you send them back to the group.
That's what I've done.
Mhm.
That's how the people who are on my list, actually, probably they're almost all of them are from Facebook. Because that's where I've done my organic marketing. But some of them come into from one group to another group. And then I still don't have them on my email list. But I do, those are the things that I'm posting in my group. And I thought you said that I should be, rather than posting the events, the workshops, I should be saying who wants it and doing the direct messaging rather than the.
That's what I would do. I would say who wants it and then send them the link to sign up.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the other admins will feel in my cancer group.
Well, and you can also post it as an event in your group. So you post it on the business page and then you share it into the group and then you.
Not that group is a separate standalone group. It's not, I'm an admin for it, but I didn't start it.
Okay, well then the group can have events that are associated with it and then you can put the link to sign up actually in the event.
Haley, I put the,
I can't hear you anymore. It like muted you or something.
yeah, weird. I put the marketing assessment sign up if anybody decides they want to
Yep.
take it.
And we go through all your stuff, soup to nuts to bolts, end to end, kind of take a look at it and see what's going on and give you some good tips.
Bonnie, one time when I was scrolling through, I think it might have been Facebook. I had saw where someone posted a comment that said, oh, I signed up for this workshop, you put in a waiting list, but I've never have heard of anyone who actually did the workshop or what is it, they had did it or haven't heard back, something to that effect, which
Mhm.
kind of makes me think about what you mentioned about doing the workshop after and doing the waiting list. What happens if someone starts not bad mouthing, but in a way it's kind of like bad mouthing, saying that they were saying it was a scam because it wasn't happening or hadn't happened or something like that. So like
I've never
time frame or
seen that. Usually you should, get a move on and have a time frame once you've started collecting email addresses. If you collect more than 2 or 3. But if you only get like 3 people that say they're interested, I wouldn't do it. I would put them on the wait list for like the next thing and see if they're interested. A wait list is never a guarantee that it's definitely going to happen. A wait list is I'm going to try and make it happen, but it doesn't have to happen. If you get too few people to sign up to be interested to make it worth your time, don't do it. It's going to cost you money and time that you don't have.
and if someone asks, well, why isn't it happening? Should you say it didn't have enough interest, or should you not respond, or should you?
No, I would totally respond and say, hey, I didn't have enough people sign up. If you'd like to book a 1-to-1 with me, here's my rate.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt somebody to, if you're not going to do a class or something, to say, hey, if you want to do it with me 1-to-1, I'm happy to do it, but I can't do it. I didn't get enough interest. That happens all the time everywhere where, like the local community center doesn't get 5 people signed up for a class. It's never going to happen. They'll refund your money if you paid for it. But, if somebody's just giving you their email address to get onto a wait list, no problem. The problem happens if you start taking people's money and then you don't deliver. They get real twitchy about that part. So, collecting contact information for a wait list is no problem, ever. I've never seen that be a problem. Collecting money for something that you don't deliver, that's a problem. I've seen people get run out on a rail for that. And I've been around the online space for a hot minute.
All right, Miss Haley, it is 10:06.
It's 10:06, y'all. Yeah, you get twitchy about paying for something, not having it happen. That's why you always pay with either PayPal or a credit card, so you could dispute it if you had to. Okay, y'all. I hope that you have a blessed night. We will see everybody who is still standing tomorrow at noon Eastern. Karen will probably be still sleeping and counting sheep as they go by, or kookaburras, or maybe koala bears. I hope to see everybody tomorrow, and I hope you have a great night. And hopefully I still have a voice.
Everybody.
Thanks, Haley.
Thank you. Take care.
Night.
Night.
Bye.